and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Monika and this is episode 29. I'm a knitter from Norway, which has recently been revealed, and the only reason I'm actually talking about it now is because I want to clarify something from last episode. Yes, a podcaster called Nina, who has a channel Den Glade Tråd, mentioned me in a podcast that was a little over a week ago. And in that video she also mentioned that she had sent me a message. And I didn't know because I hadn't received any message, but someone mentioned in one of my comments that she had mentioned me, so I saw her video. I have finally figured out where that message went. It turns out that if someone sends you a message on Instagram and you are not following this person and this person isn't following you, or at least you're not following that person, you don't get notified. I also don't have notifications on Instagram anyway, so I wouldn't have seen it unless I went into Instagram. But I had been into Instagram, I just hadn't seen that message because to actually see it, you have to go into the message, into messages, I guess. And I just happened to receive a message from my mom, which was a reel she had seen and just sent me, and we very rarely speak on Instagram, we usually just have a phone call. But she saw something that she had to share with me, so when I went into messages I saw that I actually had 2 unread messages, and was very confused. But then I realized that one was from mom and the other one was from Nina, and that explains so much. So I sent her a response with, I didn't see your message until now, but someone did mention you in my comments, and I'm very happy that you mentioned me in your podcast. And yes, her wishes that I got more subscribers did in fact come through. So yeah. Okay, that's out of the way. Let me talk about what I'm wearing. This is, or used to be, one of my favorite t-shirts. I did accidentally shrink it, so now it's a t-shirt that's a bit too tight and a bit too short, so I only wear it around the house. And I still love it too much to actually give up on it, at least until I have actually knit a replacement, which I haven't even started yet. That's a different story. It's a top-down raglan, it's my own design. It has a v-neck that on this particular iteration I have knit tighter than the v-neck actually does allow, just because I thought it was a bit too low for the type of outfit I wanted with this one. It has this type of raglan details that you will not be able to see in this light because of the black t-shirt, but I will show you on a different sample afterwards. It is made out of Untold yarn, cut merino, in the colorway jet black. Yeah, that's all I have to say about this t-shirt right now. I have went completely bananas the past 2 weeks and have cast on way too many projects. I have so many projects now, I don't even know how many projects I have. And I haven't even started all the projects I want to start. So, I have a serious issue, I'm sorry. So I'm gonna try and speed through this a bit so we won't have the longest episode ever. I do hope to get this like slightly under an hour, but I'm struggling with that usually. Sorry, not sorry. But yeah, I'll start with the first one. This is a pattern of my own. It's called Under the Oak Socks. And I'm seeing that the colors are a bit difficult to show right now. Might be because, yeah, okay, you can see them over here. Okay, I'll start with the first thing. You saw this in the last episode if you were here. It's my own pattern. They're called Under the Oak Socks. The link is in the description. The colorway and the yarn is Alpakka Forte in the colorway Purpur and Petrol Melert. Also will be linked in the description, and also the information will be over here when I start talking about the new project. I have barely touched these. I am in the heel flap, and the heel flap is not my favorite part not necessarily very difficult, it's just that they're a bit cumbersome on circular needles. So I always just, I always think maybe this time I should just get the DPNs and just do the heel flap and then the heel turn and pick up and then go back into knitting it around. And since I'm always knitting this while being on the go, I just never remember to bring the needles. So yeah, I have now moved the stitch marker down. I only knit like 3 rows or something like that. So yeah, I do really love this color combination, and I do clearly love the pattern. I think this is the 4th pair I'm knitting, the 3rd for myself. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this particular project. Not a lot of progress because I've been all over the place. Okay, I'm gonna try and put them in a way that they won't fall over. I'm doing things in a very different order than I usually do because literally this is chaos. I've been hunting around the apartment to find all of my knits because I wasn't even sure I had all of them, and it turned out I didn't, so good thing I did hunt. This is actually the project that have had a lot of time in the past week. I'm just gonna have to figure out which way. There you go. So yeah, this is my red sweater. This is knit out of Strikkekista Potensial in the colorway Lollipop. I am almost where I'm going to split the sleeves. I think I'm missing like 8 rows. The problem is every row now takes half an hour to knit, so that's like 4 hours. So I've been knitting furiously for quite a few days. I gotta find my stitch marker. Not that one. Where even is it? Oh, there it is. So yeah, it's not even that many rows, but I have so many stitches now that literally it takes 20 minutes to half an hour to knit 1 row. So yeah, this is hours and hours and hours of work. Yeah. As soon as I'm at the point for when I split the sleeves, I will do that, clearly. And I think I'm gonna do the sleeves before I do the rest of the body, because then I can just do the decreases I want on the sleeves and make that fit quite well. And then I can just knit in the round for the body, because I'm not planning on doing any waist shaping or anything like that. And I also want to use as much as possible of this yarn. I don't necessarily want any leftovers, unless I have like a whole skein left over, which would in that case be this one, because then I would make something striped with this yarn, which they are the same base but not the same thickness, so I'm gonna have to hold the red one double, while this one I'm gonna have to hold triple. But that's just a backup plan in case I actually do end up having way too much yarn left over. I'm actually hoping I won't have any yarn left over. I have recently added the second skein, so finally I'm at the point where I actually feel like I'm using yarn again. At some point I had like a tiny ball and it felt like it lasted forever and that I never had any progress, but now that I have started on a new skein, it feels a lot better. So yeah, this have been very enjoyable, but very slow going. So every time I needed something stockinette, I usually take this as long as I'm home. On the go I have different projects. Okay, putting it over here. Yeah. Okay, next project. This is my Winter's Night Enchantment sweater. I can't find the back and the front. That's amazing. Where's the stitch marker on this one? Oh, there it is. There you go. I forgot to move the stitch marker last time, but I'm pretty certain I have only knit from like here and down. This has not been my priority this week. This week the weather finally turned, so we have had some really nice warm weather, but that had also meant that knitting anything woolen have been not enjoyable. Let's just say it like that. So I'm now going to just move the stitch marker so I don't forget it twice. That would be embarrassing. And stick it here. This one is made out of Drops Karisma in the colorways Marineblå and I always forget this one. It's Morgentåke. So it's morning fog. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. I haven't had a lot of progress. I'm just going to do the color work right up until the point where I'm going to split for sleeves. And then I'm going to do the body in one color because I realized after I had finished the last Winter Night's Enchantment sweater that I had accidentally calculated wrong when it came to how much yarn I had left over. Because I forgot these were 50 gram balls, not 100 grams. So I know I'm not going to have enough for more color work than just the yoke part, but that's fine. I do think I'm going to have more than enough of the blue, or the navy, to knit the rest of the body, and if I have to, the sleeves will be a bit short. But I still want this. It's a good way to get rid of the last leftovers of yarn, because I had way too much left over. Because the pattern overestimated how much you needed for the bigger sizes. Yeah. Overestimated quite a bit actually. I think I had like 4 skeins more. I've used 4 skeins less than the pattern suggested. Okay. Next one. This is actually one of the patterns I was going to talk about. This is my own pattern. This is the light blue version of the t-shirt I'm wearing, but where I didn't cinch in the neckline. So this one is actually quite a lot deeper. Yeah. I took a break from the body to knit the sleeves, and I was planning on knitting the sleeves 2 at a time, but for some reason today that was just frustrating, so I just started knitting one of them on certain needles. And I'm going to knit this sleeve until it reaches my elbow, so that I can have it a tiny bit longer than what this one was in the beginning. And whatever yarn I have left, when I have knit both the sleeves, I will put into the barn, because I want this one to be a bit longer. So yeah. This is my own design, will eventually be released, will not be released anytime soon. These are the raglan details I was talking about, that don't show up here because of the black yarn, but they're very visible here, so yeah. And while I'm talking about this t-shirt, this is also made up of Untold cotton merino, this one in the color Poolside blue. I want to talk more about this pattern, but not this yarn, or color rather, because, sorry for all the noise, this is the navy t-shirt I knit up, and I also really love this one. But I tried it on, I haven't blocked it yet, but I tried it on earlier today, and the last time I tried it with my work trousers and it fit quite well. But today when I tried it on with a more casual vibe, so I was wearing my sweatpants, and I realized it's too short. If I'm gonna wear it for anything other than work, it is too short. I'm not comfortable, I can't lift my hands above my head without exposing myself, and I don't like that. But the reason why I stopped when I did was because I used exactly 5 balls, because of this yarn I had exactly 10. This is the colorway Deep Sea. It is also Untold yarn cotton merino. So what I have decided is I can't make a second t-shirt obviously, because I won't have enough yarn, unless I buy more yarn, but I'm trying to avoid it. So my plan is I'm gonna make a tank top. And I still want to use this raglan detail thing. I'm gonna pick up the other t-shirt again so it's easier to see because that one's a lot lighter. Yeah. The yarn is sticking everywhere. Okay. Because these raglan details down here, I want to incorporate that into the singlet or like tank top I want in it. But to do that, I'm going to have to move them closer to the body on both sides. So I'm going to have to increase the amount of stitches I'm having over over the shoulders. Like, because these are like a very small amount of stitches. And that will mean that the V will be narrower anyway, kind of like this if I do it, and I don't think I want that. So I think what I'm gonna do is with the next version with the tank top, I'm going to do it more like a round one. So I'm still going to, in the beginning, do the same rate of increases, but eventually I'm just going to cast on more stitches, because on all of my v-necks you just do the increases all the way down and just put them together when you feel like you have the right amount of stitches, or when you have the right amount of stitches. Obviously that won't work as well with the tank top, because it will be much closer, so it will be a very narrow, very weird V. It won't be, in my eyes it won't be quite right, but it does mean I'm going to have to like redistribute how many stitches I'm gonna have over the back, how many stitches I'm gonna have over the front, and how many stitches do I have to have on the front to match the back, which I will then calculate depending on how many stitches I have on either side of the raglan instead of just the amount of stitches that you have now. Because the V will be connected before you split for sleeves, so in this case I will have 3 separate parts for quite a while before I finally connect the front, which will probably not be that deep. And then I will have 2 parts. I will have the back and the front, and I will decrease over the shoulders. Like this part I will decrease between here all the way down, so I can get like a pretty nice, like just straight line hopefully, with still the raglan details on the side and continuing under the arm eventually. And maybe even down the sides. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to finish that detail. But I do hope to keep it going down the side, because it is a very beautiful detail, and it would be very nice to continue that detail in a tank top. Okay. That are one of the ideas I haven't even started yet. I just realized that since I would have yarn left over, not enough to make a second t-shirt out of the same yarn, but it is very comfortable, and I really do want a navy tank top, so that is my plan. But I won't start fixing this t-shirt until after the tank top is done, because whatever I have left over from that tank top will be incorporated into this. So I am hoping, since I know that on this one I used exactly 1 ball for both of the sleeves, that I will save that 1 ball, and even a bit more because I'm going to cast off more here, that I will be able to have the tank top also slightly longer and still have a ball left over for the body of this t-shirt. So it's going to be more like 4 skins for the tank top and 6 for the t-shirt, rather than 5 of each. That's the plan. Okay, that's a future project, but it was most natural to talk about it now. Now, actually, I'm gonna do my cast-ons. I cast on 2 new projects this week. Honestly, I shouldn't have cast on any single new project. I have way too much projects already, but I was super inspired and I just couldn't stop myself. So I think I'm gonna show the one I have the least progress on first, just to get it out of the way because it's not very exciting. But in the video I released actually this week, where I talked about May stats for my stash down, I did speak about that talk about the fact that I got rid of some yarn, all of it mohair, because I just have figured out I don't like the feel of mohair. But I do have some yarn that's called Hanna by Permin, which is, it looks like mohair, but it's not mohair. It's 50% merino, 30% silk, and 20% cashmere. So this is, in my opinion, a lot softer than mohair, but it does have the same vibe, very much the same vibe. And last week I talked about the fact that I had tried to knit up a shawl out of one of the mohairs and realized that I couldn't stand having it close to me. But I still really like the pattern. Of course, right now I don't even remember what that pattern is called or the designer, but I know I have it on my phone, so I gotta figure it out before I say something silly. So let me see. Of course I closed that, but I do have it in my Google Drive. Okay, let me see. It is the Seascape Stole by, let me see if I can increase this a bit, Kieran Foley. There's 2 different versions of this pattern available. Both of them are free on Ravelry in case anyone's interested. And I had on the last yarn tried it with the, I think it's the newest version. It was a simplified version. And after I tried it and didn't like the yarn combination with the pattern, I had scrapped that. And I decided I'm gonna try again. But I had seen on Ravelry some version where the ribbing was just so much prettier than the ribbing I was getting. And I was confused why the ribbing in the pictures in the pattern were different from some of the projects. That's when I realized they had 2 different versions going on. So I ripped back the little I had done and started over, and I really liked it. Or I liked the way it looks. But right now it's really frustrating to do because this yarn is just as sticky as mohair. So I have literally knit 3 rows and I have started the 4th one. So I am in the middle of a row and I have literally nothing to show. I just have to figure out how to show the tiny part I have. This is exactly how much I have been able to knit. Will it focus? Probably not. It has this very beautiful lace pattern, which it won't focus on. Yeah. Eventually, when I have more of it to show, it will probably show up easier because it won't try to focus on my face. But yeah. I really do enjoy the lace pattern a lot better now that it's the 2nd row with the lace pattern. The 1st row was very difficult. The yarn was very sticky, it stuck to itself a lot, and my 1st row after the cast on was very tight, and trying to do a triple decrease, or a double decrease, but you take 3 stitches into one, with this yarn it was a nightmare, and I was thinking I'm gonna have to do this for rows and rows and rows. I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish this project, but I forced myself to do the 1st row with the lace, and then I did the wrong side, which is just pearls, and then I started doing the 2nd row with the lace pattern, and it was a lot better because it had loosened up a little bit. Yeah. In general, it was easier to do, and it was easier to remember the pattern because I could just look at the row below to know exactly where I was. So it took a tiny bit less brain power. The pattern in itself is not difficult to follow at all, but because I was concentrating so hard on actually getting both of the loops of my stitches when I was trying to decrease, I was concentrating so hard I had to check the pattern all the time to just see that I was actually doing what I was supposed to do. So yeah, it was very frustrating, but I do think I'm going to love the results, and I do think eventually it will be a less frustrating process too, since the second row with the lace is already so much more enjoyable than the first. But I did start this very late at night, and I don't even think I have put it in my knitting journal yet, because I started it the first night after. I started it on Friday. So since this weekend I haven't touched my knitting journal, so I'm going to have to remember to put this down probably tomorrow. Tomorrow is a day off for us. We have I think it's called Whiff or something like that. It's the in Christianity, the day like 10 days after Jesus went up to heaven, the disciples get their Holy Spirit bestowed upon them. That's the thing we're celebrating. Though I don't think most people know that's what it's called. Or what we're actually celebrating. In Norwegian it's just called Pinse. And every time people ask me why we're celebrating Pinse, I tell them and they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you know, the Thursday 2 weeks ago when we all celebrated Kristi Himmelfartsdag, which means literally Christ going to heaven day. Yeah, the disciples were feeling low after that, because, you know, what do you do when your guide leaves you? Yeah, you get a new guide. You got the Holy Spirit. That's what we're celebrating. So we will never be alone and all of that. We do celebrate a lot of Christian holidays in Norway, but most people are not Christians, so most people don't know why we are celebrating the holidays we are. I find that funny. So yeah. Okay, that's the first new project that I cast on. I cast on that project because when I was in the wedding last week. Yeah, sorry, that was last week. Scatterbrained. Last week we went to a wedding, my sister's wedding. She's now married. And I realized during that wedding that I was a shawl short. I did use the shawl I have, but it did kind of clash with my wedding dress, and I used it mostly just to cover my shoulders when I was a bit cold, because I was very exhausted. And every time someone wanted to take photos, I like ripped it off and threw it all away because it would clash so badly. But yeah. So, I want a shawl that doesn't clash, which was why I chose this yarn that I already had, because it's a very like light grey bluish kind of color, and yeah, in my eyes grey goes with everything. It is a bit too light for my complexion, but since it's just going to be a shawl, I don't think it's going to be a problem. Oh, and this pattern, I did cast on one more repeat of the pattern repeat than the pattern recommends, because I'm knitting this with smaller needles than the pattern recommends. I tried knitting with bigger needles and I didn't like the result, so I have decided to just knit with the needle size that they recommend on the yarn instead of in the pattern, and therefore I needed more width if I'm actually going to use it as a shawl. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that project. The next project is also a new project, kind of. I have started this project previously, ripped it out because I just wasn't in the mood, but that's almost a year ago now, so I don't think any of you have actually seen it before. Also, last time I tried to modify the stitch pattern, but this time I have actually just followed the pattern. So yeah, this is how far I've come. This is my very first Petiteknit pattern. I'm very sorry for those of you who are probably very tired of Petiteknit, but I have actually never knit her patterns. and I decided it was about time. So, I cast on her champagne cardigan. My mom has knit that pattern before, she loves it, and I figured it was about time that I actually knit one of her patterns instead of just reading through them. Yeah, haven't gotten very far. I'm still doing the increases, or the first increases for the V-neck. Yeah. I don't think I have a lot to say about this pattern. It's well written. We all know that Petiteknit knows how to write her patterns. They are clear. All of that. I did not check whether or not I was on gauge, I don't think. No, actually I did. I just didn't check until I was way into the pattern. And I also just cast on the same needles that she recommended. I think the reason I did that was because I knew I was going to get like roughly the right gauge, and the exact size didn't matter that much for me because I'm right in between two sizes, so if it turned out a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, it didn't matter. I am knitting this in the size large, I think. It is the 5th size. That's what I remember, but I don't remember if she has a small or an extra small. If it's an extra small, then it's extra large. Okay, yeah, no, I did do it in the extra large because I know I didn't do it in the 2XL. So yeah, so far I'm very happy. This is the yarn I'm trying to get rid of, actually. It's Ellen Garn from Rusta. It's 100% acrylic. The reason why I decided to do the cardigan, or a cardigan at all, was because I have tried knitting this into a sweater, but I feel like when you have a 100% acrylic sweater, it kind of just traps the heat and it doesn't breathe, and then it also traps any perspiration, and it is kind of watertight, so it's nice if it rains, but it's not nice if you're sweaty. So yeah, 100% acrylic. I do think this is going to be good office wear. I do really want to wear some of my knit t-shirts to the office, but I don't want to pair them with a hoodie all the time because I find that it's less my style, and also I don't feel as professional as I would like to be in office. So the plan is to have this cardigan basically living at the office, so I can wear it year round when I just need one extra layer, because reasons. Yeah. So that's the champagne cardigan by Petiteknit, size extra large. In the color, this yarn doesn't have colorways. It's just, yeah, it doesn't even say any color on it. It's just wildly different. Yeah. Okay, that's the second new cast on. I don't think I have any new ones. No. I have 2 more projects, and then I'm gonna tell you about my plans. I know I have already spoken about some of my plans, but I have more. This is a vanilla sock. This is the second of the pair. I am very slow. I'm pretty certain I haven't touched them at all, and that I forgot to move the stitch marker last time. Because I'm pretty certain I was in the heel flap on both of my socks last time. I'm just gonna move it. There's not a lot to say. This is Anita Strikketante in the colorway orange. It's hand-dyed, in case you didn't catch that. I really do like hand-dyed yarn, and I kind of want to have only hand-dyed yarn, but that wouldn't be economically feasible. And also I do enjoy using commercial yarns from time to time, like with my Winter's Night Enchantment sweater, and also with my own sock pattern. I really do prefer using the Alpakka Forte for my sock pattern. It's a bit thicker than normal sock yarn. It's not fingering weight. so it goes by a bit quicker. I just size down the number of stitches I use. I knit very tight when it comes to socks. Even though I have a very, very small sock size or shoe size, I have to have 64 stitches to make them fit for me when I knit with sock yarn. But when I knit my pattern, I actually knit the proper amount of stitches, which is 56. Yeah, it's one size down from the normal medium size. So yeah, these are just vanilla socks. I don't follow a pattern. I just do slip stitch, heel, then heel turn, pick up stitches for the gusset, and decrease rather slowly, because if I decrease every round, they get too tight around my instep, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that project, and then I have one more, which I also haven't touched, because now this is on the bottom of the knitting basket. There's always something at the bottom which just doesn't get touched, which is why I move things around. This is my cable knit sweater. Oh. There you go. And the lighting here isn't the best. I don't know what I'm doing from time to time. Sometimes the lighting is perfect, other times it just everything looks flat. Anyway, this one is made out of Lille in the thick merino in the colorway Misty Mountains. And I was planning on not knitting on this until I knew whether or not she was going to go to the yarn festival that I'm going to next week. I have looked at her own website, and she doesn't have any she hasn't committed to doing anything between April and September, and I was hesitating whether or not I was going to send her a message and ask, and I was like, there's probably a reason why she has put out her calendar and kind of blocked out like May through August. Perhaps she's taking the summer off, perhaps there's some kind of family thing going on, who knows. It's not my business, and if she's there, I'm gonna be happy. If she's not, I can always just order it online. She doesn't have thick merino right now. She usually don't during summer, but I did see that she had this colorway in thin merino, and I can hold that double, but I'm also not going to panic buy it, because I want to figure out exactly how much I'm going to need and all of that before I eventually might maybe buy more yarn. Yeah, that's the plan. This is my own design. It doesn't have any pattern name yet, but this is the second sample because there were things with first sample that I wanted to change. And yeah, I think that is all I have to say about this project right now. I haven't touched it in the past week. Last time I was on the fence on whether or not I was going to redo the pickup of the sleeve again, but I have decided I don't mind. I'm just going to close up the little holes underneath the arm with just some waste yarn, and yeah, I don't think I'm going to do any more changes. As soon as I am done with the length of the sleeves, I'm going to lengthen the body until I'm happy with it, and then I'm gonna assess how much yarn I have left, and I'm either going to order the thin merino in this colorway, or I'm going to use, I have one skein of hers in a colorway called Noriskogen, which is the darkest part of this sweater, but it's tonal instead of variegated, and the backup plan is using that if I don't have enough for the entire thing. Maybe I'll do like the cuffs in this colorway if that's all I can. Maybe I do just the hem or just the collar. I don't know yet. All I know is I'm not going to stress. I'm just gonna work on this when I feel like it. And clearly I haven't been feeling working on this in the past week. It's been too hot. I'm very happy that it's finally become a bit hotter around here, but it has meant two things. My creative energy is all over the place. I want to start a million new projects because everything I'm working on is too hot. And also, even though I have a lot of energy, it also takes a lot of energy out of me. Because I do have problems regulating my blood pressure. So when it gets too hot and I'm not able to cool off enough, I faint. It's amazing. So then I just have to lay on the floor and do nothing because my blood pressure is too low. Or drink a bunch of caffeine and then I'm too wired. So yeah, as you can see, I'm struggling through summer even though I'm really enjoying it. Is that I want to love summer part that's trying to win over the summer is unbearable because you can't regulate your own anything. Yeah. Okay. That's all of the projects I have cast on so far, but I must say I have so many more ideas. One thing is I'm going to knit a baby blanket with this yarn over here. I have shown you that before. I finally figured out that I really do want to have a contrast color thing. I want to do it as the pattern actually is. Maybe I'll add this red, maybe I won't. I don't want it to be too rainbowy. I want it to be cute and pastel and baby blanket clearly, but not too much. So yeah. So I ordered some undyed yarn to have with it because I decided I would not pay extra for hand-dyed almost white yarn. I would rather just have undyed. So I've been looking through some different places. I thought I found a very reasonably priced one, which was like 75 kroners. But thankfully, I reread it before I ordered it and saw that it was 100% wool, not 100% merino. So even though it was superwash treated, I wasn't sure if it would have the same softness. So I found a different one that was 100% merino superwash. So it will actually go with this, though I do think this is sock yarn. But since I'm using it in a blanket and I will not use undyed yarn for socks anyway, I thought that was fine. It solved the problem I had that meant I hadn't started the blanket yet, though I do think all my needles now are in use, so I'm at the same issue, I guess. I have the same problem every summer. All my needles are busy and I want to work on something new, and then I'm forced to like furiously knit on something until I'm done with it so I can cast on something else. Like, I can't cast on the tank top yet because I'm still working on a different t-shirt. I can't fix the t-shirt because I have to do the tank top, which means I have to finish the t-shirt. It's a loop. Yeah. Second project I want to knit. That's for me. I have a bunch of baby knits I want to knit, but I'm still waiting for them. I actually ordered that today. The undyed yarn I want to use to do some of the baby knits, and also I'm going to the yarn festival next week, so I'm going to see if they have any fun pastel-y superwash yarns. I don't mind if the yarn or if the color fades, and I think the primes don't mind either. But I do want it to be superwash so they can actually wash it in the washer, and I'm probably going to wash them in the washer myself first just to make sure that they get it in the size they can expect, so they don't like have a big, let's say they get a sweater and it's like in the size 1 year and they wait until the child fits it and then uses it once and chuck it in the washer and then it shrinks, because that could happen. And then they only use it once and they feel bad, and I don't want that. So I'm going to wash it in the washer the same way they will hopefully wash it, and yeah, that's the plan. But I saw a podcast earlier today with Ali Makes Everything, and I've been following her podcast for a little while, and she has been knitting on this sweater, which she has knit in a fade, and since she knitted with only one strand, she was doing some helical knitting and some other things to try and like make it fade into each other, and her experience was very, very frustrating. And I was like, oh, it looks cool, but it looks frustrating too. I kind of want to knit something in a fade. It would be fun, but like jumping back and forth so much that I didn't even consider it properly. It was just like, oh, it kind of looks cool. But she, in her podcast, also introduced a friend of hers who also knitted in a fade. And I was thinking, like, there's something very different about the two fades, and I couldn't quite put my fingers on it. And it was probably because I missed some part, because I'm knitting while I'm listening to the podcasts or watching them. And also I don't pause them if my husband speaks to me, so we just speak and then I go back to the podcast. So sometimes I miss details. And apparently the detail I missed was that while Ali was knitting it with one strand, her friend was knitting it with two. And that way she used two of one color first, and then eventually she took one out and put one of the new yarn in. So it was like very slowly, gradually fading into the second color with just removing one strand of color. And it was very cool, and I liked it so much. And she said she really enjoyed the process, and I was like, wow, I really do want to do something similar. And I was looking through all of my yarn, and the only yarn I can think that I still haven't used for anything is actually this yarn. I bought a lot of this yarn because I had just recently, when I bought this a year ago, finished my other cable sweater, the one that's the first sample of the green one. And it's a very similar colorway. It's from Garn. Both of them, no, the other one is actually knitted in thick merino. This one is in thin merino, this yarn. The first one was in the colorway Mars, this one is in the colorway Carnival. And I was really, really, really wanting to knit a second one of that sweater in almost the same color, or like something very similar. And then I realized I had accidentally bought thin merino instead of thick merino, and I didn't know if I had enough yarn, and I was like, and I never started anything. And I don't want to knit another fingering weight project until the red sweater is done, because that's thin fingering and it takes ages. But I still want to use this yarn. And I was thinking, what if I faded this with the undyed yarn? That would be quite cool, because they are almost the same thickness, and if I start the top with just the undyed and then fade this in, I think that would be very cool. Because to be honest, these very pastel colors aren't actually colors that suit my complexion very well, but I just love them too much. So yeah, that's a lesson I'm learning. I can use them, I just have to figure out what to do with them. Yeah. And I do think that if I hold this double at the bottom, I will have a very cool marled effect, and the fade will be very fun, I think. And if it turns out that was a terrible idea, I can just rip back and hold this one strand of this with one strand of the other one, and then have a more subtle color in general, even though this is a very, very subtle color in general. It's like a very pastel-y carnival color. And I'm thinking I could also use some of this for a baby blanket, but since there are now very many babies coming in October, apparently October is the month for babies this year, at least in my group of friends and colleagues and family. So yeah, I think I'm really gonna have to start doing some baby knits now that there are so many that don't have people around them that knits. A colleague of mine is actually having a baby in October too, which makes me very happy. But he has previously mentioned that his, I don't know if they're married or not, but at least his partner, she's pregnant, she is, her mom have died, not recently I think, but they're living in the apartment she inherited from her mom. But that obviously means that her mom will not be knitting for her, and I don't know if she has any siblings, I don't know if she has any aunts or anyone else, uncles, who knits, or grandparents. I mean, since her mother died, I don't know the circumstances around her mother's death. Maybe she had her daughter very late, so the age gap is so large that also her grandparents are gone. I do not know. And I do not want her to feel left out from wearing hand knits just because she might not know anyone who knits or anyone who thinks about her. And since I know I'm going to knit a lot of baby clothes anyway, I don't think if I make duplicates of things and realize that, like, okay, now everyone has gotten their own version of this, I don't think it would be a bad idea to, like, save a little something for my colleagues. I don't know them that well. I just recently started, but they are on my team and I do want to be supportive. And a different member of my team has recently also gotten a baby, but I didn't know about that until, like when did that baby come? Was that in May? Was that in... No, it's earlier than May. He came back from the 8 weeks of leave not that long ago, so it must have been in March or April. Time goes by so fast. Yeah. Anyway, I was kind of feeling bad that I hadn't done anything for them, but also I didn't know them well enough yet. But I'm kind of thinking, like, if I'm going to be knitting so many baby things anyway, if I sneak them a pair of, like, socks or maybe a very small blanket, I don't think that would, like, seem weird, even though the baby's already here. While hopefully my other colleague will get that before the baby is born, so they will have something to be prepared. Yeah. Also, when the baby is born in the spring, it is still cold here in the spring, but it's going to the warmer months, so they might not need as many warm weather clothes or, like, baby knits in that way until the fall comes. So I could just knit 2 different sizes and tell them to, like, share. Like, if it turns out that they have similar sizes, even though there's an age difference, they can just swap them. And also, when one transitions out, give it to the other one. I don't know how the family situation are in either of the families, whether or not they have siblings who have children, or whether or not they even have siblings. I don't know. But the idea is, there's a big baby boom at my work, there's a big baby boom in my friends and family group, and I kind of want to do something for them. That's the plan. So yeah. The only thing left to say, I guess, I have actually almost managed my goal to be less than an hour. But me and my husband went out on Friday after work. No, maybe it was Saturday. The days have been so fast, I'm so confused. Anyway, he bought me something while we were out. I think it was yesterday. Because I was complaining that sometimes when I'm sitting and working with dark yarn or when I'm reading at night, I was wanting a lamp on our nightstand because they broke during our last move. And he saw this one and bought it for me. And of course, after we bought it, we realized that once again we have forgotten to buy batteries. This one takes AAA batteries, and we've been talking for weeks that we have to remember to buy more AAA batteries because that's also what's in our remote, and at least one more thing, though I don't remember what. Like, everything in our household, if they die rarely, they use AAA. And we were talking for ages that we're gonna have to buy some rechargeable ones because we find it a waste that we just have to buy new ones. It seems very irresponsible. So rechargeable ones would be preferable, though we haven't found any yet. Maybe I can remember to do that on Tuesday. Would be nice. I'm also going to try and find myself some shorts for now that it's warm, because the shorts I have I find too short to wear to work, and I would very much like to be able to wear shorts to work. So I'm gonna have to find something more work appropriate, I think. But yeah, I really like this. As my husband said, this feels really cheap, but it was really cheap. So you kind of get what you pay for. And if this turns out to be something I use a lot, we can perhaps invest in something more sturdy. But at the moment, I'm very happy. I haven't been able to use it because there are no batteries in it, so turning it on does absolutely nothing. So yeah, but it's fine. I'm going to find myself some AAA batteries. I'm going to try and use this, and yeah, that's the plan. And last thing, I always say a last thing, but you know, I have a goal for this summer to read more books, both physical and audiobooks, and I have actually already succeeded quite well, as I'm on my 4th audiobook. It is a series I have read before. It's the series that inspired the Bones TV series. I think the author is called Kathy Reichs. I'm not certain how to pronounce it. But anyway, I want to read more books because I usually enjoy it, but I just don't take time for it. And because of that, I wanted to incorporate it with something with my knitting, and like maybe making some kind of leftover yarn blanket where like every square represents how many books I've read since I started this. I haven't quite figured out what to do yet. That would also be a good way to use up some of the leftover sock yarn that I have, because I have a lot, though I am very slow sock knitter, so I think I have to pick up the pace when it comes to the socks. Oh yeah, that reminds me, I think the last pair of socks I did knit a heel flap with DPNs. Ah, it's fine. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but the results are basically the same, so it doesn't matter. I am going to try and avoid casting on anything new, and also try to avoid buying too much yarn, though I have already ordered like 7 skeins, so that's like 700 grams, which are then getting into my stash in June, and also whatever I buy next week will also be getting into my stash in June, and I will definitely not be done with enough projects to get more than 700 grams out of stash. So I think June is going to be a loss when it comes to the stash down challenge. I kind of knew that. I usually only go to yarn markets twice a year. It's usually during summer and one time before Christmas. This year there was an exception because there was a yarn market in February, March, which usually aren't there. So I bought like a kilo of yarn there. Yeah. So I have bought more yarn this year than I planned, though I also have bought more yarn for projects that I didn't have the ability to take it out of stash because it wasn't for me. The Winter's Night Enchantment sweater that I knit was for Danny in the States. He hasn't gotten it yet, I still haven't blocked it. Really gotta do that soon. But yeah, when we're sending that, we're sending it with a bunch of other stuff. But also, where are we going with it? Yeah, I had to buy yarn for that sweater, obviously. So I had a lot of yarn getting into stash this year. But I also have a lot of yarn, which is why I'm trying to get rid of at least the yarn that I'm not that much fond of. So that I can mostly use yarn I actually do like. That's the plan. I don't mind having this much yarn. The problem is I have way too much yarn of the types I don't like. And yeah, I want to get the yarn I don't like out of stash so I can have just yarn I do like. Yeah. Oh, and I also really do want to start on my second Seascape sweater, but I'm still holding, like, I can't do that until I'm done with my Winter's Night Enchantment sweater because I'm using the same needles. We have that problem again, not enough needles. Or perhaps I should say I really shouldn't buy more needles because then I will have even more projects and I don't have time for that at all. Okay, I do have to cut the podcast here. If I'm going to be able to edit this and put it out tonight, I can't keep yapping on. So yeah, thank you all for following me today on this very hot day and with all of the chaotic cast on energy I've had lately. And I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have, I would appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And yeah, I don't think I have anything more to say, so thank you for being here. Bye.